two different types of pictures you can insert into a PowerPoint presentation: a local picture or an online picture. A local picture is a picture file currently contained on your local hard drive, either a flash drive, your hard drive on your computer, or another source that's directly connected to your computer. An online picture is a picture that you find using Bing, on Facebook, Flickr, etc. So let's look at adding an online picture. So if we have a title content layout slide with no content, we can click the online picture button. If we already have content on the slide, we can go to Insert and click Online Pictures. Now we have various options here. From SharePoint, if you are connected to a SharePoint site, either through Office 365, through your employer, you might be able to find a picture there. We can use Office.com clip art, which is licensed for royalty-free use, or we can search the web. Remember, searching the web, images are typically copyrighted. Make sure you have permission to use what you're using in your presentation, especially if it's a commercial presentation. All right, so we can search Office clip art. Let's search for football, and we get all sorts of clip art here. Scroll down. All right, let's use this right here. I can click the magnifying glass to get a larger preview. I can insert multiple images by using Control or Shift. Control will select the item that I click no matter where it is. Shift will select all adjacent items between the item I select and the next item. So if I click here and click Shift and move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 over, all 8 will be selected. If I press Control, only number 1 and number 8 will be selected. These controls are common. The functionality of Shift and Control work just like they do in other Windows applications. All right, so I'm going to insert this image here. We're going to call the title Football Player. So there's our online image. Now let's take a look at other ways to add online images. We can also connect to Facebook or Flickr, or using a OneDrive. So see all your Facebook videos, also, but just connect Facebook to this email address. What else happens when I connect? So when we click connect, it's going to ask me to sign on to Facebook. I'm not actually going to do this, but it's going to ask me to sign on Facebook, and then it allows me to. Then it asks, does Office.com have permission? Then all your Facebook photos can be pulled in. Flickr works very similar. So I can access all my Flickr or Facebook photos and use them in my PowerPoint presentation. It could be a very useful feature. You can also browse, like I said, I can browse a OneDrive or the internet. So that is online pictures. Now let's deal with cropping a picture. So once we insert a picture into PowerPoint, we have some image editing options that are very similar to what we have in Word. So if I click this image, I have a new contextual tab called Format, and I have various options. One of those is to crop. So if I click Crop and then choose Crop, I can select what part of the image I want to keep and what part I want to discard. I can also crop it to any shape that PowerPoint supports. So for example, I do something silly like crop it to a heart. I could also crop it to an aspect. I can also crop it to an aspect ratio or to fill or to fit. So let's talk about free cropping. So I'm going to crop the image to where I want it, and then I'm going to return to the ribbon under the size group and I'm going to click the crop button again. The image will now be cropped. The part not selected will be deleted. So if I undo this here and crop back, notice the part that I am deleting has been grayed out. I'm keeping the image of the player, but cropping out the rest of the picture. So when I click crop, the image is resized. Now I can also use styles. We talked about this in lesson 4 a little bit. If I point to a style, I get a preview of that style. And these are the styles I can choose from. These are the same styles that I have in other Office applications, Word, Excel, and so on. Next, let's look at corrections, color, and artistic effects. So corrections, I have all these different ways I can correct the image. Sharpen it, soften it, brightness, contrast, etc. I can change the color of the image. For example, maybe I want to give it a rustic look by using a red accent. Maybe I want to give it an olive green look. Maybe I want to do a black and white. All different things I can do. And notice whenever I click on one, I get a preview of what that image will look like. I also have more variations where I can change it to pretty much whatever color I want. Then we have artistic effects, just different effects I can apply to my picture. So let's say I put in a color, put in an artistic effect, put in a correction. Then I decide I don't like what I did. Yeah, I don't like that anymore. So we can reset the picture. So we have two options, reset picture in size. Reset picture will remove all styles and adjustments I made to the picture. Reset picture in size will not only reset all the adjustments, it will also set the picture back to the size it was when I inserted it. So if I reset picture in size, notice it goes back to original size. Now, keep in mind that original size was automatically resized when we put it on the PowerPoint slide, and now let's jump back to the original size it came off of the online picture search. So that's probably not the option I want to choose. So I'm going to undo that. And this time I'm going to choose Reset Picture Only, which will remove all the formatting effects I applied to the picture, all the adjustments, but the picture is still the cropped size that I cropped it to and not the original size of the picture, which, as you saw, was much larger than the slide. Next, we can remove the background of an image. So returning to our formatting tab, I'm going to pick the Remove Background button. Now we get a new tab called Background Removal, and we get various options. Mark areas to keep, mark areas to remove, delete mark. So I'm going to mark an area to keep here, which is I want to keep the football player's face. And oops, let me discard that. Let me try again there. I want to keep his face here. And notice as I do this, it puts the color back into the picture. So if that's all I wanted to keep and I select Keep Changes, notice the whole rest of the background goes away to a white background, and the only thing kept is our player's face and one of his shoulders. So that is Remove Background. If I don't like what I chose, I can always undo and try again. Undo, discard all changes, or undo, and try again. Undo it back to where I started, and I can try again. Now, can I reset the picture? And the answer is yes. Resetting the picture will change the remove background. Now let's talk about inserting shapes. So here on my content slide with no content, I don't have an option to insert a shape. So I must visit the Insert tab under the Illustrations group, Shapes. So put a smiley face. Once I add a shape, I have shape styles. I can do word art, and I can also, any shape, I can add text to. So any shape is basically a text box. So let's add another shape here. Let's add just a rectangle this time, a rounded rectangle. Let's change the style here. Let's put in a word art style. So edit text. This is some text. And there you go. So I can actually make a text box into a shape, or I can just create the shape and then write text on top of it by right-clicking and selecting Edit Text. That will allow me to add text to any shape that I create. You can also change the fill, the outline, or the effect. So let's give this shape some glow. And let's give it a little 3D rotation. So there's this is some text, word art style shape with some 3D rotation. So I can insert all kinds, as you see, all kinds of different shapes into my PowerPoint presentation. So when we create multiple items, we can overlap them. Notice here I'm taking my 3D, this is some text, and overlapping my smiley face. Now, what if I wanted the smiley face on top, but still to have the 3D effect? That's where the arrange options come in to be. Send forward and send backwards. So if I send my this is text backwards, now the smiley face appears on top. So it appears the smiley face now has a red 3D background. I can also send it forward, which returns the this is text to the top. So I can send forward or send backwards. Now send to back would be if I have multiple objects, more than two, I can send it all the way to the back or just one step back. Same thing with forward, all the way forward or just one step forward if I have more than two objects. So this allows us to group objects on top of each other or place objects on top of each other in a layer type of setting. So we have it appears though we have a smiley face on a red background. I can also group. So if I select both the smiley face and the red background and go to group, they now behave as one object. So now I can move the smiley face and its red background as if it was one object. If I change my mind, I can return to group and go to ungroup, which will then return the object to its two individual parts. I can also use the rotation handle and rotate the object as if it was one object. So I can move and rotate, resize, whatever, as if this was one object. Now notice I cannot edit the text in a group. I can't change happy day because this is in a group. So once I group it, I no longer can change the text. If I want to change the text, I need to ungroup the object, click on the text or click Edit Text. This is a great day. And then regroup the object. Like so. Now Windows 7 and Windows 8 both come with a feature called the snipping tool. If you're familiar with this, you know that it is a great addition beyond the print screen functionality of XP, allowing you to screenshot a portion of the screen without having to screenshot the entire screen, go into Paint, edit your screenshot, and paste it back out. Since Office 2010, PowerPoint has gained a limited version of this functionality. Under the Insert tab, if we look in the Images group, we have the Screenshot function. Now, if we insert the screenshot onto a slide with a content box with no content, the picture will be scaled to the slide, whatever we insert. If we don't have an open content box, the picture will not be scaled. So we have two options. One, we have available windows. This is any non-minimized window you have open. If the window is minimized, it will not show up here. Well, I have a Word document open, so if I click that, the Word document is inserted into my presentation, scaled to the slide. The entire window. I can't choose using this option what part of that I want to use. So if I go back and return, and this time pick screen clipping, the active window will pop up, the screen will dim, and then I'm allowed to pick, just like the snipping tool, what part I want, and as we see, it's scaled to my slide. Now if I repeat this process without some text here, so I don't have an empty content box, and I come back to screenshot and pick it, notice now it is not scaled. It takes up the entire slide. Same thing if I go in here to screen clipping and take a large swath of the screen, Again, notice it is not scaled to the window. All the text is obscured. The title is obscured. So the scaling works like it does with any other image I insert. Empty content box, scaled. Non-empty content box, not scaled. All right. Next, I want to talk about hyperlinks. As you probably know, a hyperlink is the way you move from one web page to another. So if I click a link, typically underlined in blue, I can move from one page to another on a website. PowerPoint has some similar functionality. However, it can be much more useful, as I'll demonstrate. So to add a hyperlink, we can right-click on the text, use the contextual menu and go to hyperlink, or in the insert group, we can pick hyperlink. So if I pick hyperlink, I can type an address of a web page, like msn.com, and hit OK. Now, I have a link. This link will only work in presentation view. So if I go into presentation view, notice now I can click the link and you'll see it goes to, a tooltip will tell you where that link goes. It'll go to msn.com. It'll open the link in your default browser, whether it be Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, whatever your default browser is, that link will open. Now, the usefulness of this is I can also hyperlink within my presentation. So I can create a hyperlink here that says place in this document and I can click this link and be teleported back to the beginning of my presentation, or really any slide I want. So if I'm doing a presentation where I need to jump around, I'm not necessarily showing the slides in order, 1, 2, 3, I can use hyperlinks to jump around different slides in my document. So let me return to my slide here. I can also hyperlink a shape. So if I were to insert a shape here, add some text, or I can add some text, or I can just hyperlink the shape. So this shape is going to send me to slide 3. There we go. So we can hyperlink words or shapes, or not pictures, but we can hyperlink words or shapes. Now if I ungroup this for a moment, if I go over here to Format and ungroup it, I can then hyperlink either shape. I can't hyperlink a grouped shape. When this is grouped, I can't hyperlink it. But I can hyperlink the individual shapes. Notice here when I click Notice here when I click hyperlink is dimmed out. However, when I click the middle, I can then hyperlink. So you can hyperlink you can hyperlink a group shape, but only the first object in the shape. I can't hyperlink what's behind. Okay, so that's how hyperlinking works. There are other options. Let's take a look at those options quickly. So I'm going to edit this hyperlink. We can create a new document or open a file or send an email. So we can do all those things. So I can have this create a new PowerPoint document if they click it, or go to an existing file somewhere else. Going to an existing file will typically throw up warnings. Use sparingly. Now, if I want to open the link without going to presentation view, I can right click here and go to open hyperlink. But I cannot click the link unless I'm in presentation view. To do it in normal view, I have to highlight the text and choose open, or be somewhere in the text and choose open hyperlink. Have the I-beam in the text and choose open hyperlink. If I want to remove it, I pick remove. If I want to edit it, I pick edit. So that is screenshots and hyperlinking. Next, let's talk about actions. So I have my rectangle here, and I've added some text to go somewhere, and I want to create an action on this. An action is like a hyperlink, except I have a few additional options. So once I have the item selected, I'm going to go Insert tab, Links Group to Action. Now, action on click none is the default. Hyperlink, so I can set a hyperlink here to somewhere in the presentation or a URL. I can end the show, other files. So the same options I have in the hyperlink dialog box I have here, but I have a few other options that I didn't have there. I can run another program. I can run a macro. I can perform some other action. I can play a sound. I can highlight it. That's on a mouse click. I also have the same options on a mouse over. So, for example, if I go mouse over, hyperlink to first slide, and click OK, and go into presentation view, as soon as the mouse enters the box, I'm jumping to whatever slide that I linked it to, or whatever I linked it to. So mouse click means I actually have to click the object. Mouse over means the mouse cursor just has to interact with the object in some way. So if I click it, we can play a sound here. Now if I have a mouse click and a mouse over, can I actually click it? Oops. As you see, I can't. Mouse over takes precedence because as soon as the mouse enters the box, it's going to execute the action. So mouse over, so whatever I have here, these won't work. I can set them, but they're not going to work because mouse over, as soon as the cursor hits the object, this will execute. Now if I turn this off here, then mouse click will work. So this is one or the other. And that is action. In this lesson, we talked about adding pictures, clip art, online pictures to your presentation, picture styles, corrections, and effects. And we also talked about hyperlinking and actions along with screenshotting.